back in Connecticut, where it's not cold or hot ever. It's just perfect, like Brigadoon and Camelot. And it is such a pleasure to see you. We see each other for days on end, and then we don't see each other for a year. So it's absolutely fantastic. And yes, his taste is quite eclectic.
Well, this gentleman.
Yes.
Oh, I should say. I mean, you definitely know as much about cars as anybody else on the planet. But tell me about this, because I would not, under normal circumstances, associate you with these. But obviously, as I was saying earlier, before I was interrupted by my good friend here, you obviously love it.
He doesn't interrupt you, does he?
Oh, he does. Yeah.
So I want to introduce and bring up Steve Mole. So Steve Mole's a master craftsman. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Mole. So we went out to lunch and I asked him if I could buy a car that he had built. And he said, well, let's just go back to the office and design one and build one for you. So this is what happened.
When you talk about the details on this car, because I think that's what really sets Steve's work apart. It's just astonishing.
It's the British Racing Green that I'm starting to get interested in.
No, that's called Carini. That's Carini. So some of the things, of course, are the small car. It sort of looks like a Maserati or Ferrari back from the 40s as they were racing in Europe. And that was sort of the theme, is that somebody came home from Europe after the war, wanted a Maserati or a Ferrari with cycle fenders, and this is what they built. So we've got the fin that goes down the back. Oh, sure, sit right in there. This is an honor having this guy sit in my car, I can tell you that.
I want to warn you, Wayne, once he gets in, he never gets out.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happened to me. Hey, Steve wants to know if you want to come to lunch.
He knows a really reasonable restaurant.
This is like a fine pair of gloves, maybe the left-hand glove only. It fits me really well. Look, my bottom's nicely wedged into the seat, when steering wheel comes to hand. You can drive this thing very spiritedly, I imagine. What have you got for drums under the hood?
So we've got a flathead Mercury with Navarro heads, Navarro intake, twin 97 Strombergs. And the best thing about this car is that it's built with torsion bar suspension. So it's Indianapolis style race car suspension on a street car. So it makes it handle superbly.
Well, you know, it's a strange thing when you sit in a car and you can tell if it's been thought out that we might have to cling onto the steering wheel under gravity load going around bends and things. And I would definitely say this has got that feel to it.
Yeah, and what you do is when you go and have a car built for you, they design it and build it around what you are. So this car is fitted to me. So, you know, I fit in the seat properly. We made sure the steering wheel was over so that my hand wouldn't rub up against the door when I'm turning the steering wheel. You know, that you could see everything. And pedals, everything fits. It's a custom made suit, but in an automobile.
And you've got the most important instrument, your rev counter,
That's right.
slap bang in front of your
Right.
eyeballs.
Well, you don't need to know how fast you're going. You just need to know how fast the engine's going.
Correct.
And of course, it's the large type edition for the senior driver, so that you can see everything quite clearly.
I know
he's talking about like senior drivers. I mean, he's the most senior guy here, I would think.
One of the things, though, is we didn't want to really put too many instruments on the instrument panel. So Steve wanted a gas gauge, so we decided to put the gas gauge behind you, so you can look in the mirror and you can see how much gas is in the car.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I tell you what I really love is this, what I would call reticulated paint finish on your dashboard.
So this,
that is beautiful.
This dashboard came from an idea. Steve and I were at a cruise at the Blackhawk Museum, and Peter Giddings had driven in with one of his Alfa Romeos, and he had that finish on the dashboard, and I said, that's what I want. So unfortunately we lost Peter recently, but Peter was just a fabulous collector and terrific guy.
He was a good man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Alfa Romeo man.
Alfa Romeo, and he knew how to drive.
Yeah.
He was an unbelievable driver.
Well, what I find when I sit in these cars and start having a good look, you can always tell if they've been thought out, planned, designed and built by people who know what they're doing, know precisely what they want. And your analogy of going to the tailor is exactly the same. You choose your cloth, you choose your cut. When you step out, You are the man. I mean, you are absolutely...
So I don't go to a tailor. You can really probably see that. You know, this is my clothing. Everybody probably sees on television. This is what I wear. But I really love having a tailor-made car. So, you know, I don't have to have tailor-made suits.
Well, you probably can't afford one. You can't build a car and a suit at the same time.
He had lunch with Steve Moll, so how could he possibly afford any clothes? Question for you, how long typically does it take for you to build one of these cars from design to delivery to customer?
Normally it's about a 2-year project. I think Wayne accelerated that a little bit. I think this might have been less than a year.
1 year in.
But Wayne being Wayne, we were able to slip in through the cracks.
It is an extraordinary car, and every time I see this car, I fall more in love with the details. And of course, your workmanship is absolutely amazing. I've had this discussion with you. I've told everybody that listens. If anyone is a fan of hot rods, customs, and custom-built European coach work cars, we could spend hours looking at your cars. We see all those elements all together.
Well, thank you. And we get a lot of our inspiration by the grand cars that we're able to work on. We do a lot of restoration on Ferraris and Alfas and Maseratis and so forth. And you know your cars, you see where the inspiration comes from for these. And we just sprinkle it on these hot rods, and this is what we come up with.
And as Alan was saying so eloquently, the fact that there are cars around that look really nice, and then there are cars around that drive very well, and when you bring that together, it's something that really makes a difference, because we've been talking today about the experiment.